Mr. Speaker, I stand resolute to join my colleagues before me, those on this side of the House and those on the opposition benches, who covertly and in confident silence supports this developmental and transmogrifying budget. A budget whose theme, transforming the economy, empowering people, building sustainable communities for a good life, reaffirms the vision and continued commitment of His Excellency and his administration towards the transformation and development of this country and its people, with a focused aim of providing a good life for all Guyanese. It is therefore incumbent on me, Mr. Speaker, to extend my unwavering congratulations and commendations to our eminent scholar, financial guru, and the most experienced Minister of Finance my generation has witnessed. Much thanks and gratitude is also extended to his competent staff of the ministry, whose judicious efforts beyond the call of duty to put together this very important document, which informs and gives impetus to government's policies and plans for a better Guyana in all of its many facets, is most noteworthy. Mr. Speaker, there are many things of significant importance that commands my unwavering support for this year's far-sighted budget. I'm of the firm conviction, Mr. Speaker, that Budget 2019 far supersedes, in my humble opinion, other budgets past. I am persuaded, Mr. Speaker, that the policies contained therein will positively affect this nation way beyond 2020, and the people of Guyana will continue to see and experience an even greater degree of the good life guaranteed by the Granger administration. Mr. Speaker, having been summoned by the constant stare of my chief whip and being forced to battle with my innate desire, to leave the seat, having listened to the many ramblings of the opposition speakers, I am compelled to say several things. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, I put it to you, and I am persuaded that all and sundry will agree, that in a serious parliament with a responsible opposition, the government presents its policies and the opposition presents alternatives and not just criticisms. Mr. Speaker, sadly, but as was expected, this has not happened. 90% of the opposition members who presented thus far failed to do so. Their hullabaloo presentations was nothing but a cabaret show, a gladiatorial circus, having all the trappings of legislative infamy and political rascality. We have all seen their weak political dividends. Mr. Speaker, I am reminded of the interesting comments.
I remember, if I heard you correctly, you employed language that is not acceptable in this House. I would advise that you withdraw it and then
Withdrawn.
proceed.
Mr. Speaker.
But you are aware of the language you use, honorable member?
Very much so.
I beg your pardon?
Yes, sir.
And you have withdrawn that language.
Yes, sir.
I ask members to lift the approach. Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I'm reminded of the interesting comments made by the honorable member, Mr. Joseph Hamilton, who in his description of the monument at Madhya had a sexual undertone. I don't know if he was having a moment, but he posited that the headstone is a symbol of this government. I put it to the honorable member that you are correct, sir. It is symbolic of the government's upness and solid stewardship of this administration and country. Mr. Speaker, I noted also the quotes of unemployment the education sector by the PPP point man on economics. In light of same, I wish to put in context those comments. Let me first congratulate the government on its efforts in allowing the Statistics Department to inform the nation of the true unemployment figures, the first time in decades, because these were all estimated under the PPP. Secondly, not everything you inherit bears the fruit you want. To this end, I wish to ask the Honorable Member Ali and the PPP if they still relish the No Child Left Behind education policy of the then government, where a child got promoted if he or she fails or passes, if you cannot write your name or not. My point is, those are some of the policies of the PPP that presently affect unemployment and a generation of Guyanese today. Mr. Speaker, it is because of these realities government is continually fixing the plethora of problems and issues like this, and with the largest provision in the 2019 budget for education. This will definitely and is a testament to the government's commitment to the development of our youth, our people, and this nation. Mr. Speaker, I have also noted many instances during this debate where the PPP poke shares at utterances reportedly linked to our Honorable Minister of Health on the issues of preference for jobs for party supporters. I, however, salute my comrade for our courage to observe that an error in judgment had occurred, and it's reported that the Honorable Minister had apologized. Mr. Speaker, with that said, it must also be noted, Mr. Speaker, that no one in the PPP was remorseful or apologetic for the sustained public attacks on the employment of an ethnic group that the PPP felt was so concentrated in either GCOM, the military, or to whom they say were not qualified to be ambassadors under the PPP government. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2019 is a concoction of the experiences, suggestions, recommendations, and views garnered from government ministers, MPs, who traverse the nooks and crannies of our geographical landscape. It captures the views of religious bodies, non-governmental organizations, the private sector, civil society, youth, and ordinary citizens. To say that this budget is visionless and tone-deaf shows how disrespectful the leaders of the opposition view the views of the people of this country they claim to represent. What kind of leaders would insult their people and ask for their support at the same time? Mr. Speaker, the Pantagruelian benefits that punctuates Budget 2019 is a brilliant showcase of the minister's skillful and prudent management of the state's resources in such a short time to deliver us out of the economic quagmire we inherited as a government. Region 10, the heartland region of Guyana, is most pleased with a 12% increase to the tune of $3.9 billion. This sum, Mr. Speaker, will aid us to continue the development in several sectors to enhance the lives of our people. The continued upgrade of all levels of schools, health centers, and government buildings in the region will continue in 2019. The infrastructural upgrades of road networks within the communities like Rizrock, Silver City, Caracara, Block 22, and Christianburg will provide better accessibility to road users. Thousands of people, Mr. Speaker, will benefit from these roads. Mr. Speaker, the allocation of $218 million to the Linden Enterprise Network Revolving Fund will aid and continue to stimulate economic growth within the township by providing financial support to business ventures, manufacturing, agriculture, and housing initiatives. The people of Linden, and more specifically, our young entrepreneurs, now have an alternative lending institution that is more friendly and flexible to support their business ventures and ideas. Lend, Mr. Speaker, is aiding to promote employers and job opportunities for the unemployed within our community. SLED, Mr. Speaker. In our region, several communities and countless individuals able to benefit from skill training and employment opportunities under the self-sustainable livelihood and entrepreneurial development programs under the Ministry of Social Protection. The Burial Community Block-Making Factory has been able to provide training and employment for several residents of that community, but more importantly, provide affordable blocks for residents and businesses. Spikeland Shade House Project and Silver Hill Chicken Farm are aiding in providing not only job opportunities for some residents, but food security in the township. Mr. Speaker, with the $250 million allocated in 2019 for the continuation of this program, under the stewardship of this action-oriented minister, the Honorable Amna Ali, I am confident that more communities in our township and region will benefit even more. Minister Ali has tirelessly demonstrated our willingness to help the poor and downtrodden and to be independent and self-sufficient. This reward, Mr. Speaker, will certainly aid her in providing more assistance to our people. Agriculture, Mr. Speaker. Agriculture in the region, Mr. Speaker, has not over the years been able to germinate to its true potential. Sadly, more than 60% of the foods that feed our people comes from outside of the region, despite an abundance of fertile lands. However, with the construction of the road at Millie's Hideout in 2019, will make easy access to farmlands to aid farmers with the production of more foods to address this anomaly. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the allocation of $220 million agricultural facility in Ibini up the Barbies River will also play a significant role in training, capacity building, and aid the region to achieve food security. Mr. Speaker, government, having recognized the important role information technology plays in world affairs, has embarked on a multiplicity of programs and projects to provide training and opportunities for our people, be it in the hinterland or the coastland. My region, Mr. Speaker, has benefited from the introduction of several ICT hubs with 24-hour Wi-Fi services placed across various communities, and they are accessible to all our people. The sizable allocation in this ministry will see the region benefiting from more hubs in 2019. Housing. Mr. Speaker, the distribution of countless house lots and the continued construction of houses in 2015, being undertaken by Central Housing and Planning Authority under the watchful eyes of Minister Yearwood, is most welcome in the region. The new approach for housing in 2018 will see the creation of countless jobs for varying skill set of people. This ministry will be the catalyst for the multiplicity of job opportunities. Tourism. Mr. Speaker, with the expected $31.4 billion to be garnered from tourism in 2019, we believe Region 10's uniqueness of being the hilly sand and clear region that is blessed with insurmountable creeks, lakes, hills, valleys, mine-out pits, historic buildings, to name a few, is well positioned to benefit from this possibility. With a glimpse of our region's indigenous tourism product, we believe we possess the flora, fauna, ecological makeup, and more so to be a tourism destination tourists would be most pleased. Mr. Speaker, it is therefore most appreciated that the call I made in 2018's budget for my region to benefit from the concessions of rates for excise tax on overland transportation imported for tourism being given now is made a reality, and it is most noteworthy. And on behalf of our people, we thank the Minister of Finance for this consideration. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the developmental work on the Linden-Lethem Superhighway to be done in 2019 provides an enormity of possibilities and opportunities, not only for our residents, but all Guyanese. We are cognizant of the fact that the township of Linden is well positioned.
Honorable Mr. Figueira, please reclaim your seat. Honorable, I hope that this is the only occasion on which I will interrupt the Speaker to remind members that they should at least, if they can't keep quiet, which is what is required under the standing orders, that members can be more restrained in their crosstalk. That crosstalk ought not to reach the ears of the Speaker. And that crosstalk does. Please proceed, Mr. Figueira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are cognizant of the fact that the township of Linden is well positioned to benefit tremendously from this development. As the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, P.J. Patterson, posits, the road to development is the building of roads. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to once again extend thanks to the Honorable Minister of Finance on behalf of our residents of Region 10, and more specifically the families of Ron Somerset, Shemroy Boye, and Alan Lewis, our Linden martyrs, for the budgetary allocation for the construction of a monument in their honor and in their memory. Mr. Speaker, the economic genocide, brutality,
Minutes remaining.
Tyrannical, and inhumane imprints of the PPP cabal that the people of Linden endured and experienced has eternally scarred our psyche and left an indelible mark on our memories. Mr. Speaker, is this a government in waiting? The people of our community of Linden, Mr. Speaker, will always express no confidence in this grouping. This monument will stand as a constant reminder of the indomitable spirit and revolutionary mindset of our people, who stood up against an oppressive, discriminatory, and colonial-style rule administration. The ultimate price of those innocent lives will never be forgotten. Budget 2019, Mr. Speaker, has answered the call for continued development of our nation's infrastructure, the continued promotion of better education, health, and social welfare services, the promotion of businesses, tourism, youth entrepreneurship, the catering for our indigenous peoples, the differently able, and our senior citizens. This budget, Mr. Speaker, is a forward ever, backward never budget. Its presentation and passage is the equivalent of a confidence motion, and I support all of its measures for the passage in this House. Thank you.